Hey, so we put this up the other day, last weekend. What is this?
This is the flight deck or the cockpit, or for real dummies, the part where you control stuff.
Well, the cockpit of a...
Boeing 747-400. Boeing uses instead of like Boeing 747-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they do Boeing 747-100, 200, 300, 400, and then -8. They use like dash singular.
So this
number.
is the cockpit of a Boeing 747?
400, yes. Let's start with the control that everybody knows, the yoke.
How many engines does it have?
It has 4 engines. It's most widely known as the Queen of the Skies, the Jumbo Jet, and the second world's largest airliner.
Oh, and what's the first one?
What do you mean?
The biggest airline or plane.
Oh, airliner. The biggest airliner is Airbus A380. It looks much different than this because Airbus doesn't use yokes to control the plane.
Yeah.
They use a side stick that'll be off in the corner over here, and it's sort of like a video game where you go like that and stuff.
Oh.
But
How do you know from looking at the cockpit that it has 4 engines?
the throttle levers. You have 1 white thing, 2 white things, 3
What
white
are those things?
4. They control the thrust of each engine, and in case of
So
a
it just goes backward and forward?
yes, backward and forward. And in a worst case scenario where the plane is pulling hard to the right or the left, the pilots would use thrust differentials to balance out the plane. That's why
The what? The
thrust differentials. So in
What is
other
the
words,
thrust differential?
So in other words, let's say a rudder hard over, where the rudder used to horizontally move the plane left or right, it experiences a hard over, which means it's jammed in a position in the left or right, and the plane is pulling very, very hard to the right or left. The captain would use thrust differentials. In other words, so for instance, the rudder is jammed left. The plane is pulling really hard to the left. So the captain would increase power on engine 3 and 4, decrease power on engine 1 and 2, and then it'll balance out the plane.
Ah. So what happens if it loses 1 engine? How would they balance it?
Lightly increase thrust on 3 and 4.
If you lose either 1 or 2?
If you lose 1 and 2, then you idle 3 and 4 because the plane would be pulling hard to either side. Both engines fail that, and you would apply full force to the rudder and ailerons. Ailerons are used to roll the plane.
So are you saying if you learn to fly on one plane, you can fly any plane?
No. So
Is there a fundamental basics? Just
okay,
the basic.
So I'll show you the basics. So this
Like
is
if you're just flying a single engine or a Cessna 1%, 2%, is it the same as flying a 747?
No, not at all. It looks completely different. There are only like 2 of these screens. There are much less controls, and it's very isolated. You're cramped in there.
Isolated, or what do you mean isolated? Oh, you mean it's very small?
Yeah, claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Anyways, these 2 levers on the sides, this is a speed brake. You usually don't, this is used for aborting takeoffs and landing. You rarely, in a worst case scenario, you only use it on like final or like the final approach. The time that you use this is when you're descending. It makes the plane go downwards because it's reducing lift on the wings, and if you have less lift, the plane won't fly. So that's why planes need wings. And so the spoilers, it says speed brake, these spoilers come up on the wing, and it disrupts the air flowing over the wing. And so that means it's disturbing lift, and so it'll bring the plane down very, very, very slowly, so it can descend until final approach for the airport. This one is flaps, and it's vital for landing and
It
taking
slows
off.
it down.
It's so the normal wing of an aircraft cannot land at speeds that the plane already lands at. If you don't use flaps, you'd have to land at, say, 200 knots. Knots is the speed used to represent the speed of the airplane. I think the landing speed of the 747 was 147 knots.
Time out.